Hello and welcome back to another devlog for Blood Antlers. Today we are going to be going over the latest updates I've made to the game. We are still on the phase of doing all of the systems for the game, getting all the mechanics done. So just to explain why it is still in blockout form, my plan is to not touch any visual stuff until the systems are all in place, and then I can start polishing with the visuals. So what we had done last time, there was a basic AI system for enemies and allies that makes use of Unreal behavior tree system even, and it all meant that enemies and units could find each other and attack each other. I also made a wave system where there was a win and lose state, so it would spawn enemies, it would spawn units, and depending on which one dies first, that would dictate the lose and the win state. And finally, the overall basic blockout was done. So the map was, mechanically speaking, was done. Now, what was done this time, before I go into it, was a massive overhaul of a few different things. But one of the most important things that have been done with this new devlog is that there is now a building system in the game. This adds the tower defense aspect to the game and also includes the player attack. But I will go into everything one by one and go over how it works. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So first of all, I thought I'd do a little building overview, or not overview, the map overview. So this is the new map setup. It's the same overall level design as the previous one, just about the fake trees and the resource and upgrade totem. So as you can see, there is a kill zone, which is the collision box on the bottom. So that's just to catch if anything spawns off the map by accident. Then we have the nav mesh box. We have on the far left is where the base is, and on the far right is where the enemies will spawn from anywhere within that box. And it looks large, but for some reason they still only spawn over landscape. So that solves that issue. Moving on, we have the first person overview. So this is currently what the UI is going to be looking like. Obviously, visually, ignore it. But in terms of how the setup and general look work, this is how it will be positioned across the UI and the interface. So we have a pop-up that says, right, you need to press K to start the wave. And then we have the stone ruins and the blood ruins, which will be the resources within the game. I'll go over a bit more of this in a future episode, but this is the current system. This is like the reward system that you'll get from the completing a wave. Moving on from that, we finally have the player's attack in the game. So the player can press left click, or I'm sure I could do controller key bindings to change that, but the player can attack and it will shoot out a line of trace, and if it hits an enemy, it will kill them or do damage. This is just so the player can now actually interact with the game, whereas before they kind of just roamed around. As you can see in the clips I'm showing here, this is it's currently a one-shot. That's just because I'm trying to learn how to balance, because it turns out when there's 20 or so enemies coming and you can one-shot all of them, it's not actually that difficult. But then if you change that to two-shotting them, you suddenly are dealing with double the amount of health that you were before. It will take twice as long to kill all the enemies, which gives them time to break down your base. So I'm still trying to figure out the balancing in that sense. Now, as for the main update to the game, there is now a build system in the game. So you can press enter and it will switch to this build mode. And in this build mode, you'll be able to select a building which will cost something and place it anywhere within a certain area, which will be the base and slightly outside the base. Currently, I don't know how to make it. So there's a building preview system where you can have a green and a red, depending on whether you can and cannot place the building. But there is a system in the game where if you tried to place it, as you can see in the video, on one of the walls, I'm pressing left click and it's doing nothing. It only places things if they're on the ground, and this uses a basic tag system. So if the line of trace hits the ground and it has the tag floor, it can be placed. If else, don't place it, pretty much. These are spawners. They spawn in troops throughout the round just to show what that does. But that is the building system. This will be greatly expanded upon, but it will be different to the upgrade system for buildings. The upgrade system will be individual to different buildings. Also, before I quickly show up how unit spawning works, so the units for each one will only spawn one unit per thing, and there can only be a max amount of set units on the map at any given time. If they have reached that limit, no units will spawn. In this case, there's a slight glitch where it's spawning two units per per spawner, which should not happen. It should be 1 per spawner unless you upgrade it. And upgrading the spawners will increase the cap of the total amount of units you could have out on the field at any given time. And now we have the general AI fighting. So this is just these videos, the video showing on screen now, this just shows what a fight might look like between the enemies, the units, and yourself. So the units will only be there to assist the player. The player will be dealing most of the damage, as you can see in the video, and the units are assistance things rather than the driving force, as this means that interaction is, or a large significance of what happens in each level relies on the player, which gives them motivation to play, etc. Now, with the new system, what basically happens is, I'll show this in another clip as well, the enemies can now change their target without reaching their original one. So previously, an enemy would choose the closest thing at the time, which would be the wall. They would, and that would be their target. Until they reach that target does not change. But in the behavior tree system, if you have an abort module or abort decorator, this basically allows it, so if another enemy it checks again, and if there is another target that is closer, it will switch targets by aborting the previous target and getting a new one. And this just allows for more dynamic fights, as also there is going to be a unit that is going to be classed as a siege unit, which will only target buildings. And so I didn't want this to basically make them similar if they immediately target walls as well. And finally, we will have a little clip of showing how this all works as well. I think I've shown this already, but there's more clips coming. So in this final clip, it shows how the enemies spawn and what happens if you do nothing and leave it all to your troops. Spoiler, you lose the game. So the way it works is every set interval of time, a certain amount of enemies will spawn, and they will be spawned in groups. So there'll be for example, boars will spawn in a group, titans or golems will spawn in groups, etc. like that. And then they will go start attacking, and they can easily start swarming your base if you do not help your units fight them off, as the units are only spawning on a set interval, and so they won't be you can't choose when they spawn. They will just spawn, and if they're wiped out, then you have to wait for them to respawn, which will then mean you'll be overrun. So it's a balancing game of don't lose all your troops too quickly and don't let them do all the work, pretty much. So yeah, and this is what happens when they get your base, and if they destroy the chief hut, they can destroy your spawners. And whilst everything will be rebuilt, it doesn't mean it's permanently destroyed for the entirety of your run, but it will still mean that for that round you won't have them, and that makes it significantly harder. So that is all the different things that have been added in this week's devlog. I'm really looking forward to what's coming in the next week and the week after that. It will be a bunch of different big, not overhauls, but adding systems still, such as extra buildings, and now we can start building up the content side of things. There is also a save system that's already been implemented, so the way it works would be like a run system, and you could delete and restart the run, and stuff like that. But in the next one, it will be a case of getting the upgrade system done, getting the abilities done, and things like that to keep expanding the game. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next devlog.